Detroit.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Are we live?
We are live, yeah.
Yay!
Yeah, exciting stuff right here.
Yes! Welcome, everyone. Welcome to today's session. We got a little music going on in the background because we just want you to come in and just like take a moment and take a breath. So let's just start with that because we're going to cover a lot today, but it's all really good, I promise. And hopefully you can hear me over the music.
We hear you fine. Loud and clear.
Good. Sure. Okay. So what I usually like to do first, while we all just come in, give everybody maybe 1 more minute, and then we're going to get started.
Yeah, sounds good.
Let's see. Okay.
And Denny, good to see you here, buddy. So great to always having you part of our establishment. Obviously, is critically important. So always good to see you.
Yes.
Hey, Denny.
Hi, Denny. I have heard wonderful things about you. I feel like you're the perfect example of literally taking this thing we're going to talk about today and putting it to good use and being successful out of it. So we're excited to have you here. I also see some other advisors in the chat that I know. Thank you all for being here. Shauna Du, I'm going to give you a shout out. Thanks for being here. And I think we're 2 minutes past the top. So I think let's go ahead and kick this off. I'll cut my music. Hopefully you got to enjoy it there for just a little bit. And we have some really exciting content to share with you today. Before I share the slide deck with the framework, the roadmap, and you're all going to get a checklist because you're here with us today, I think maybe we start with just a few introductions. I'll start, and then maybe Rosalie and Carter, you can pop in. Like, who are we? Why are we here to talk about what we're going to talk about today? My name is Diana Cabrices. I'm the Chief Evangelist at Wealth Tender. And for the last 10 years, I've been helping advisors grow through marketing, through technology, and the combination of both. And I have a deep, deep passion for the topic of estate planning. I've spoken on many stages about this topic. I've encouraged advisors through content, through other webinars over the years to get up to speed with estate planning and implement it in their businesses. Obviously, advisors can't do estate planning, but I firmly believe every single advisor is an estate planning strategist. But what's happened in this last 12 to 24 months has me even more excited about this, which we'll talk about. But this huge shift in the way consumers find you now, thanks to AI and tools like ChatGPT, gives you even more reason to include estate planning because these tools like ChatGPT love advisors with a specialty. So these are sort of the worlds that we're combining. 2 worlds I've always talked about. And today I don't know, it's like the perfect example of getting to combine my passions. So grateful to be here and very grateful to be partnered up with Rosalie and Carter with Epic Services Company. So maybe Rosalie, I'll pass it over to you for your intro.
Thanks. Yeah. So Rosalie Perkins, Chief Marketing Officer of Epic. I stepped into the financial industry 6 years ago now and came into the entire industry through advisor marketing. So that's really been my focus since I started. I've been with Carter now at Epic Services Company for 18 months. I don't know how time goes by that fast, but it really does. Impossible. And equally excited about estate planning because what I quickly realized even before starting, and Carter and I were just having conversations about what Epic does for advisors and the system that he's put into place, I realized that estate planning is a topic that everybody really sort of needs, right? And that's, we're going to go deeper on that today, but everybody needs estate planning. And once you hone in on that message, right, it kind of broadens what an advisor can really do with their practice. So equally excited, like I said, to just dive in deeper. And then I'm going to pass it over to Carter. So won't spend too much time on intros.
No, that's actually great. And let me just say that I am absolutely honored to be in a room, not physically, but in this virtual meeting room with Diana and Rosalie because of how we got to know each other in the first place almost 7 years ago. I think it's been now, right? Yeah. Diana was a guest on my podcast because of her former life of what she used to do as a doula, which if you guys don't know about that, pretty cool there. And then having been exposed to advisor marketing is how I was introduced to Diana and Rosalie in the first place. And all I did was I just brought in the subject matter of estate and legacy planning, really industry jargon. And what we've done a phenomenal job of helping advisors is to differentiate themselves by, number one, reframing what that really means. And what it really means is family succession planning. Again, this is a subject matter that is near and dear to your best clients' hearts. And I will tell you that everything that we've done has not been an afterthought. Everything that we do is super comprehensive. And what I'm excited about today is, as we go through this, on the partnership with something like WealthTender, on why it's critically important. And I just, by the way, go to my LinkedIn, look at the post I just posted today. I literally was talking about how an article came out, the financial services industry, the exponential amount of people that are going on to ChatGPT to be like, where do I go for estate planning? Where do I go for financial planning? And it's going to reward those who have that niche, right? So anyway, Carter Wilcoxon, Epic Services Company, CEO and founder, and we are here to really, number one, elevate the client experience and ultimately differentiate the advisors that we work with.
Love it. Carter, thank you so much for your time as CEO. We both know you're very, very busy. And I'd say Rosalie and I also stay very busy, but we're all here because we're passionate about it. So I'm going to start this screen share here and share some content with you. So when you registered for this webinar, whether that was through the emails we've all sent or the videos that we've put out, we like tried to reach you guys as different places as possible and as many of them as possible. You saw that the marketing here was like, hey, this is the top niche right now that financial advisors can add to their practice, plus a 60-day roadmap to activate it. So yes, we're going to talk about adding estate planning in as a niche, or if you already have a niche, doubling down on your existing niche because it's becoming that important, especially digitally, but also locally. But now those go hand in hand to make sure your marketing is getting as specific as possible, because tools like AI love it. And tools like AI are going to determine who actually finds you online and who doesn't. So we're going to talk about that. And I just want to say, it's one thing to sit here and teach you in the next 60 days, here's how to build a niche with estate planning. Yeah, we're going to do that. But it's another to say, here's how you're actually going to make sure people will find it. So I want to differentiate that from any other webinar or any other class or course you've taken in the past on building a niche. That's fundamental. But this is going beyond fundamental. And this is actually telling you how to start winning new business with this niche literally in the next 60 days. You might not agree with everything here. You might not want to put yourself on a stage to talk about estate planning to potential clients. If that's not you, you probably aren't a good fit here. But I can tell you from firsthand experience, the advisors actually doing this technique and building this offer are having success. In fact, they're having so much success that they have had to hire other advisors to give these clients to give these leads to support the pipeline. That's how passionate I am about this. That's how serious this is. So hopefully, if you're still here with us, it's because you are ready and willing, or maybe this is something you want to learn now so you can start in 6 months from now. Whatever your situation is, you're here now to learn it. So we're very, very excited to have you. And we want to know first a little bit about you, because we want to be able to tailor today's session to who you serve and to who you are as an advisor. So I encourage all of you, there's a chat box that you can click on and drop in that box. I encourage you to share with us, who do you currently serve? We're going to come back to this in a little bit in the session. So this will make more sense in a bit, but let us know in the chat box, who do you currently serve? Like if you could give me one sentence, a few words, whatever that looks like, on who you currently serve. So if somebody asks you, hey, what do you do and who do you serve? What's that second part? And the chat should be open for everyone. So we'll give you all a minute here.
Okay, there we go.
Okay. High net worth clients. Wonderful. Hi, Manorama. It's nice to see you again on the webinar. Anyone else? Let us know. Estate planning referrals. Okay, Camille, love it. You're already like in this world. You're going to love what you learned today then. Those in and near retirement. Yep, retirees. Women 55 plus and the people they love, approaching or in retirement, business owners. A lot of good stuff in here. Real estate investors. Okay. 401k plans and want to expand to estate planning. John, my husband, is a financial advisor and he works around 401k plans for his clients and also 401k plans for businesses together. So there's like a nice combination there. College planning. Yes, Shauna, I love this. And I love that we got to talk about it at our financial advisor mastermind that we were at a few months ago. Okay, I think this is really good. This is going to help us in a little bit when we get back to creating some messaging that you can actually use to enhance who you're currently serving. Okay, quick agenda, because everybody needs to understand like what's ahead. I don't like to just reel you in and then just talk. Let's get some structure here. We're going to talk about the big problem here. And there's actually two problems. And one of them is I guess they're both opportunities, but the truth is if you're not acting on these shifts, then you will have a problem, right? So two major shifts, reshaping advisor growth. The number one niche for financial advisors right now, estate planning. And then we're going to get into that 60-day roadmap. We'll also give you a Q&A option or window at the end. So if you've got questions, write them down, pop them in the chat. There's a Q&A button that you can use as well. We'll probably make it easier for us to return back to it if you put your question there. Rosalie Carter, anything I'm missing here?
Not at all.
Yeah, you're right on point.
We'll steam ahead.
All right, let's steamroll it. Yep. I know we're about 12 minutes in, and I usually like to get to the information quickly because I know some of you have to probably hop off at the halfway mark, or maybe you've got some distraction going on, or you just want to get to the content. Okay, let's talk about the two major shifts happening right here. I'm going to talk about the second one. Woo! And then maybe Rosalie or Carter, I'll pass the baton to you to talk about the first. But right now, we all know there's a great wealth transfer. I think some of us have maybe a deeper understanding of exactly what's happening, and some of us may be more limited, but we're all in the financial space. So we know assets are moving hands. And this is important because this means when you have a client, or most advisors who serve certain clients with assets, well, those assets are transferring to their children. And if you're not connected with those children in a relationship way, or really any way, then you could potentially lose on those assets. And we actually see this is more common than not. And then the rise of the AI powered search. So again, people are using AI now to ask questions, even financial ones. And guess what AI loves to do? It loves to recommend advisors who have specialty, who have niche, and who have a few other things that we're going to talk about and show you. So we think sitting in the middle of both of these is estate planning, literally as your specialty. Carter, Rosalie, anything that you would add about this great wealth transfer? Like if you're to talk to a group of advisors like you're doing right now, like what's the one or two things you really want them to understand about this?
Well, I'll say this. I think that people need to understand really what that means. When you hear the figure 84 to $124 trillion in the next 2 decades, 2048, I think the biggest thing that I think people need to understand how big of an opportunity this is to really understand even what 1 trillion is. Forget about 84 to 125. If you really understand the math on what $1 trillion is, in the next 20 years, the vast majority of those assets are moving. First of all, they're going to move laterally, right? Actuarially speaking, husband and wife, it's going to move laterally. Mrs. Jones. So you want to make sure that you have a solution that ties in emotional things that the husband and the wife can actually understand. And estate planning addresses all of those things, right? So when you understand that that's the first lateral move with the dollars, and knowing that 70% of the time that the financial advisor is fired by the female spouse who inherits the money first, you want to make sure that you are adopting a system and a process and a platform around the great wealth transfer that's going to address and give you connectivity to husband and wife.
I think that mass number too just ties right into the mass amount of searches that are going to start popping up for this, right? And they want their advisor to stay in the loop on these conversations. That's all I'll say on that.
That's true. I mean, that's a really good point. People are going to be using tools to search for answers about this asset transfer that they're going to be experiencing, right? So absolutely right. I love those points. Thank you both for sharing that. I think that's a good way for us to sort of set the stage of why we chose like that beautiful in the middle piece here. Prospects aren't just searching for advisors anymore, right? They need to know who can help them grow their wealth, yes, but also protect their legacy. So I encourage you to ask yourself today, they're asking AI, do they find you? Are you being present? Are you being recommended by AI? And if you're not, there's probably some strategies you need to put in place, but also zooming out a little bit beyond just content strategies and getting reviews, which I talk about all the time. Maybe you're missing a whole layer to what you're doing that could open up the playing field a bit for you, right? Like help you cast a wider net, but still a net that fits within your expertise. That's the beauty of this. You all told me earlier who you serve, and there was some overlap. There was some uniqueness. Estate plan is going to fit in literally every single one of those segments. So that's really exciting here. Some stats, because you're going to hear a lot of stories today, and I'm big on anecdotal because I think stories are powerful, but I want you to also know there's some data to back up what we're saying. So 60, and this is recent research, 68% of clients would consider switching to an advisor who offers estate planning when their advisor doesn't offer it. This is current research. This was just recently put out. 93% of clients have reported in the past, this one maybe is a few years old, that they want their advisor to offer estate planning. Only at the time, 22% provided it. We're probably still sitting around that number. There's obviously a big gap there. And then lastly, 64% of affluent Americans want to know an advisor specialization before reaching out. So they want to do a little bit of research and they want to make sure that you are equipped to serve them. So you better have the messaging to back it up. You better have the reviews to back it up. And again, AI is pulling from this. Tools like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, they're also looking for advisors with specializations, and that's who they're surfacing whenever they recommend them to people who pull a search for financial help. Okay, so I mentioned before, you may or may not have a niche. That's totally fine if you don't. You do, truthfully, you need to find a common thread between your clients. But if you don't market one today, that's okay. But if you do have one as well, this is sort of doubling down on that. Everyone needs estate planning. Rosalie, when we planned this session, we talked a lot about this. It's like, well, how do we speak to advisors who feel they already have a niche, but clearly they're coming to this webinar because they want more. They want to get more leads. They want to have more top of funnel success and conversion success, even bottom of funnel. And we were talking about how this is like the perfect opportunity to take what you currently have and add to it. What would you add to that?
Well, I think you said it perfectly just before when you said you're casting a wider net here. And imagine that wider net, you're casting it in the exact spot where all of your ideal prospects live, right? So you get to choose, for physicians, the real estate investors, women in transition. And I think this is really interesting when we say this is applicable for each of these, I'd say audiences, because these can be a niche, but I like to use the word audience here because it's still pretty broad, for women in transition. Think about that. If women are, or I should say widows, are 3 times likely to leave their financial advisor once their husband passes, you can be the advisor in one of 3 categories there. You can be the one that she's leaving. You can be the one that she might be looking for online that has what she's looking for. Or best of all scenarios here, you're the advisor who already implemented it. You've already included her in the conversations and you're retaining her as a client. You're retaining those assets. So I think that's just where it goes in to say, yes, this layers on top of what your niche can be. But if you don't have one or you're looking to strengthen that, it is the foundation. It's the foundation of a healthy financial plan. And it's the foundation of being able to take your clients a little bit deeper in retaining those assets along the way.
I love the way that you put that. Like that is just so perfectly said. You want to be in that last bucket. This is what we're trying to show you. Like, how do you put yourself in that last bucket? if you serve business owners, right, they need estate planning. If you serve women in transition, like getting a divorce or becoming a widow, hello, that's exactly what we're talking about here. They need help with estate planning. High net worth families, physicians need estate planning. Real estate investors need estate planning. Everyone needs estate planning, and especially everyone with money needs estate planning. So opportunity is so, so big. Okay, let's get into this roadmap. This is like the crux of what we want to teach you right here in the next few slides. And we're going to divide all of it by sort of this, four-part framework, if you will. What do you do in the first 15 days if you're trying to add estate planning into your niche or build a niche with estate planning? Then 15 days after that, so on and so forth. And we're going to make this as simple as possible for you. And then Rosalie did amazing work and built a whole checklist for you that you'll get after the session as well. Quick temp check. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat. Carter, if you want to add anything before we get into this, now is your time.
I already know where I'm going to probably be adding more, and I'm going to be talking more later on in this. So I think let's just keep everybody, going down this path and understanding that we have built out, a roadmap for you to be able to be successful whenever this is all said and done. But I'll just say this. I don't care where you go. I don't care what solution that you're looking for. Find one. Find an estate planning solution, because I promise you, if you do not, you will be one of those three categories for the great wealth transfer.
Yep, absolutely. That's a great point. I'm glad that you brought that up, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that too. There are a lot of options out there when it comes to implementing estate planning into your business. We're going to teach you the difference between some of the categories out there. Also, whether you work with Wealth Tender or Epic or you don't, you will still walk away from this session with this roadmap, and the checklist will send you with value. It's a roadmap. You can go and implement it all yourself. You can go hire other people to do it for you. We're going to show you what it is, and we'll also talk a little bit about how we can help you execute on it. But again, whether you use or work with us or not, this is something that's going to be valuable to you. That's our promise to you here. We want to make sure you get value regardless of whatever options you choose out there. I want to read one quick comment in the chat. Darrell said, most real estate investors and property owners don't properly fund their trusts. I've heard this a lot, Darrell, and I've had advisors who have been burned by just sending clients to an estate planning attorney, and no disrespect to them. I'm connected with some wonderful estate planning attorneys. But when you just have that as your process, outsourcing it and just sending them their way, and then you're just totally out of the loop from there. This has happened a lot. They'll set up the trust, and then they never communicated with you to actually fund the trust, right? So Epic built a whole program to not let that happen. So I'm glad that you brought that up, Darrell. It's common. Okay, let's start with building the foundation. So in the first 15 days, as you're adding estate planning into your niche or building a niche with estate planning, what should you do right up front? 3 things here. The first is you need to choose your estate planning solution, because you're a financial advisor. You're not an estate planning attorney. Unless you are, it's a different step here, but you need to get partnered with someone who can support you. And there's really a few different options here. There's DIY software. There's, like I said before, just totally referring them to an attorney and never hearing back again, which we don't even want to include that as an option here because it's just not a viable one anymore. That's why these things have been born. But there's DIY software, so technology, and then there's done-for-you partnerships, like what Epic has built. Either way, you learn the process and you figure out what's going to be a good fit for me. And then you go and you announce it to existing clients, keyword existing clients, and you're going to start booking estate planning reviews. We're going to break this down a little bit farther. So first, Carter, would love to turn to you. What are the differences here between DIY software and done-for-you partner?
Well, I mean, I can't tell you how many times people have looked at our platform and they may even look at it like, oh, it's kind of expensive. Well, if you don't really understand all of the value that we bring, then it might look expensive. But when you start thinking about the amount of effort that having an entire team that surrounds you, we have adopted and perfected a multidisciplinary team approach, right? So that is something that is for us, it's foundational. And do-it-yourself software. It's out there, and there's plenty of options that are out there. But I will tell you this, the great wealth transfer clients, they expect handheld processes 100% of the time. And I can't tell you how many times people have come back to us. And I won't throw anybody under the bus, just vanilla. But I can tell you that there's been many users of certain systems that thought that was the way to go, come back to us because they tell us about the low percentage of people who are completing and getting it done. So without a complete estate plan, you don't have any plan at all. You might as well have done nothing at all. You actually wasted your time. But don't worry, the courts will be there at the very end to make sure that they get their piece of the pie.
That's so true. And again, no disrespect to other tools. I've personally represented other tools in the market that I think are wonderful and that fit certain segments and certain groups of people. But that's true. That is some feedback that I've just heard from advisors along the way of, all right, well, I sent the link to get them to log into this platform to build their estate plan, and then they never ended up doing it. And so, you can make it as easy as possible. It can be the most intuitive platform, but if they don't actually click the link and get in and do it and complete it, then again, you don't really have an estate plan. So the Done For You partnership, I think it's a great way. I think it keeps the human touch in focus. I think that it balances actually getting people to get the plan done and also what they actually need to do so, right? Bringing that human into the conversation. Okay, the announce it to existing clients and start booking estate planning reviews. Rosalie or Carter, do one of you maybe want to share a little bit more about what that means?
I'll start. And then Carter, if you want to add anything, please do. But I think what's important is once an advisor selects their solution, they're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to implement this into my practice. What's your low-hanging fruit? It's your existing clients. You want to let them know that this is now a service you're offering because they might be in the search looking for it. You don't know. So I think getting that message out immediately after choosing your solution and getting settled, that's where you start to get those quick wins.
Well, I'll just say this because I've said it a gazillion times, and I knew I was going to say it at least once during this webinar today. When left to your own devices, you're doomed to fail as an advisor. And the one thing that I recognize early on is if the expectation is, okay, you've got a solution, now go out and tell everybody, but figure out how you also do that part, right? We deliver that messaging for you. You don't have to think about, well, what am I going to send out? How am I going to send it out? What am I going to do? Epic at the heart of everything is actually a marketing and branding solution that we cater to advisors that adopt our go-to-market strategies around this subject matter. So it's about okay, now I've got a solution. Now how do I message it? Oh, and then how do I deliver that? And how do I deliver it efficiently, right? And then how do I continually do that? That's what Epic really highlights and focuses on is the solution that we have, obviously, but also we hand deliver it to you to be able to actually hand deliver it to your clients so that you can make that announcement without you having to be like, well, how do I frame it? How do I put it together? It's done for you with our entire Done For You marketing system.
End to end. What does the estate planning review look like? Is that, hey, come sit down with me for 30 minutes, book a time on my calendar. Here's the link. Let's review what you currently have in place. Or is it, I'm now offering this. Let's talk through protecting your assets and getting you moving on building your estate plan.
It's such a great question because here's the one thing that I've learned. And this came from a Wealth Council study years ago that was, what do everyday Americans think about estate planning? And the big takeaway is that 83% of Americans haven't done this at all, right? But if you frame it in a way of when was the last time you had your estate plan reviewed, a lot of people will be like, I don't have an estate plan. We already know statistically that's what's going to happen. So that way it's sort of like non-invasive. You're not really trying to just be like, oh, well, hey, do you have a trust? No, you just want to talk about when was the last time your estate plan was reviewed and let them disclose to you that they haven't done anything. And 83% of the time, that's going to be the case.
Love it. Super helpful. And if any of you are on the line wondering, like, why wouldn't I start with my messaging? Why is step one already just like announcing to clients? Because really you have to have a provider to be able to fulfill on the estate planning piece, again, because you're not estate planning attorneys. And every provider is going to work differently. So if you start with your messaging and then choose your provider, you're probably going to have to go back and adjust your messaging because, again, every provider works a little bit differently. So I love that. That's super duper helpful. Let's move on here to what you would do after that. So you've chosen your provider. You've let your existing clients know that you have this offer, and you framed it in a way that's like, hey, let's review your estate plan, which, a lot of them will probably come back and say, I don't have one. And then some of them will say, great, it's, been sitting in the back room for the last 5 years, hasn't been touched, or longer, as I've heard from many, many advisors and clients. So the next part here is actually defining the niche within your niche. So this is where you really start to move into your tailored messaging, because you're going to start building something for prospects, prospective clients. You started in-house, internal with your client book, and then you're going to go out. And this is where you're going to start to build that marketing engine. Again, we're building an offer around this. We're not just building a message to put on our website. We're going to make sure it goes out and brings in clients. So number one with this is name the audience you serve and the estate concern that keeps them up at night. Okay. Rewrite your messaging around the outcome that they value. So what would be the perfect scenario for them, and what would help them stay, like give them peace of mind, right? Based on their situation, what segment niche they fall in, and also lead with the legacy that they want to protect. Here's a quick example of that. And there's some of you in the chat who do work with business owners, right? I help business owners with advanced tax and retirement planning. Okay. What's missing here? The outcome that they value and any concerns that's keeping them up at night, right? You've built your business for 20 years. I help you protect its legacy through estate planning and comprehensive tax and retirement planning. That's just a different, it's a shift on the way you just had it before. So I encourage all of you, come up with your statement. And we had some really good responses in the chat earlier. So maybe we pick one or two, Rosalie, and go through and give some ideas here. Aaron, women 55 plus and the people they love, approaching or in retirement. Okay. That could also be women in transition, right? Because we know a lot of people, women around this age also go through transition. And again, transition can mean a lot of different things. But take that, Aaron, take this formula, if you will, and sort of turn that into a statement where you're adding estate planning in.
Yeah. And I just dropped a framework in the chat that you can copy. And this is taking your audience and, like Diana said, the problem that they're having plus the outcome they're looking for. And then that equals your new positioning there. I know on our slide we had physicians. I don't know if I saw any of those in the chat, but thinking about physicians though, I know plenty of advisors that do target physicians, and they build a significant amount of wealth typically, but they are so busy they don't have time to plan out their legacy. So if you're helping to care for others, how can me as the advisor help care for you and your legacy and your plan going forward? So that's, again, you plug that into that framework and you can come up with your new positioning, your new statement, and build your framework around that.
Who do you often see come and work with you guys at Epic? Like, there's some good examples in the chat here, but is there any like concentration of different niches or focuses or demographics that you see advisors working with that come and say, hey, I need to add in estate planning?
Well, I'll just jump in and say that almost without exception, it's going to be advisors who are working with 60 plus year olds, right? Gen X to boomers. That is going to be a core component. And a lot of it is because of the old saying, I say the old saying, whenever Jesse James was asked, why do you rob banks? Because that's where the money is, right? So people go to where the money is, which is why this is very advantageous to make sure that you have an estate planning solution, because I can promise you, this is from hundreds of workshops, thousands of clients' feedback, right? People already know they need to do this. They just need somewhere to go to get it done. They are looking for a trusted advisor, and nothing against any attorney. I mean, they're obviously part of our infrastructure, right? But people do not want to work with an attorney as a rule. They want to work with their trusted advisor, and their expectations. And you put it out there before, one of the stats, right? Is that they're expecting their advisor to offer estate planning solutions. Only 22%, if I remember the statistic right, offer that.
Yep.
And the reason is, and I know what the reasons are, because the amount of different advisors that have adopted our platform and our entire go-to-market strategy is because they're not really sure how all the pieces of the puzzle fit together. So that's why we have exhaustively put together an entire turnkey infrastructure done for you system that takes all of those things into consideration. You as the advisor, how do you deliver the messaging? What's the client experience? Those are all things that are taken into consideration.
Love that. And while you guys answered those questions for me, it gave me some time to maybe work on some statements that could be helpful to some of you in the audience. So I picked 3 different comments here. And I'm happy to send, help you more after this webinar offline. But I wanted to start with real estate investors. So when you take this formula that Rosalie popped in the chat, right, the problem they're facing, the outcomes that they want, and you're targeting real estate investors, the way you could adjust your positioning there to fit them and layer on the estate planning is something like, we help real estate investors protect, preserve, and pass on the wealth that they've built through real estate with an estate plan designed around their properties, family, and long-term goals. Okay, you touched on all of those things there, right? The problem is they've built significant wealth in property, but their assets are probably exposed or could be exposed to probate or taxes or liability or some sort of like messy transfer to their heirs. And they obviously want to protect that. They want to protect what they've built and transfer that wealth directly and efficiently and intentionally. The second one that I pulled from the chat was the women, because I love anyone that focuses on women. As a woman myself, we know that women 55 and plus, they're entering a major life transition. They don't know if financial, retirement, or estate plans are even talking to one another. Maybe they don't even have an estate plan. It's likely that they don't, and they want that confidence that they're financially secure. Their wishes are being followed up on. Everything is clear, right? So the position I wrote out for that one: we help women 55 plus approaching or in retirement create a coordinated financial and estate plan that protects their independence, preserves what they've built, and makes life easier for people they love. Okay, maybe it's a little lengthy. You could shorten it a little bit, but that's just one simple idea. The last one is 401k planning. And again, this one's near and dear to my heart with my financial advisor husband and what he does as well. We help individuals and families turn a lifetime of retirement savings into a lasting legacy by coordinating their 401k, retirement, and estate planning. All in one, right? That's so good. These are just ideas, but guys, you add in your own special flair, right? But this is a good framework. Rosalie, thank you for putting that in the chat. That saved me. And sometimes when I'm like trying to talk and coordinate a webinar, it's hard for me to think creatively, but that was really helpful.
Yeah.
What about for those who don't really know what their niche is? Like, there's still advisors that are like, I don't really have a niche, but when you start asking them questions and peeling back the layers, you find what that niche is. And it may be that it's only 20% of your client base, but that's okay. That's still a niche. And so you can work with that. Here's what I encourage you to do. Think back to your last 10 new clients. What's the common thread? What's the common problem that they are facing? If you're using AI like Jump in your business to record your meetings, you could literally just go ask your associate in Jump or any other tool that you might be using. And then, ask yourself, is it age? Is it location? Is it profession? Gender? What are those common challenges? Where does estate planning fit in? So if you don't know yet, pull back the layers, do the homework, and then the rest of what we're about to show you, you can just like run with it, firepower all the way. All right. I'm going to stop for a second, take a swig of tea. If anyone has more questions, feel free to pop it into the chat. And thanks, guys, for the feedback. I'm glad that the exercises were helpful to you.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say that actually, Diana, is that it's not only the questions that are being asked, but it's also the appreciation for what it is that we're putting together here. And as we said at the top of this webinar, no matter what you do after this meeting, you're going to get some value out of this, no matter what, because we want you to be successful. I mean, I wake up every single day a lot of times around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, but I wake up every single day with the idea that I've got to find a way to help advisors help their clients. Because as the old saying goes, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I'm telling you something right now. It wasn't an accident that we landed, me specifically landed on this as a subject matter that is near and dear to my heart. From my own lived experiences, how this happened with me. And I'm trying to help as many households out there eliminate, at the bare minimum, mitigate the family fracturing that occurs when this is not addressed. And we have this phrase that we use all the time, become your client's hero. That's what it really is, folks. When you help around this subject matter, again, industry jargon, estate and legacy planning, family succession planning is you becoming the client's hero. And if you become their hero,
you're not going anywhere.
Exactly. That's exactly.
They're not booting you out anytime soon, which is good.
And better than that, they're going to introduce you to their circle of family, friends, and business owners, whatever it is.
Yep.
That's where the messaging becomes so powerful. You know, we're not just asking you to rewrite all of your messaging and fit this in just because it sounds nice. It's because it's hitting these emotional aspects and these emotional needs that your clients are having. And it does fit into each of those audiences, those niches. So, man, yeah.
Okay, before we go on, I just want to say, Carter, you should share your story more because it needs to be told. And I always love understanding like the deeper connection to why any of us talk about what we do. I also say if you're waking up at 2 or 3 a.m., you need some supplements because your cortisol is really high. Don't worry, I deal with it as well because we're just go, go, go all the time. But I've got some really good supplements in here that have some really, really powerful herbs and just different nutraceuticals that could help you. So I'm gonna take a picture of these and send them to you after the webinar.
Okay. All right. Definitely do. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's a hint. That's a hint to the Health and Wealth podcast.
Oh yeah. You
right?
listen about my past life as a birth doula and I've always been into health and wellness. Okay, let's get into this because I know people are like, okay, we're done. We want to get into this right away. Yeah. All right, days 31 through 35. So let's just recap really quick. You've chosen your provider for estate planning, how you're going to fulfill that. You've let your current clients know, gotten some exposure to them talking about it. Then you're like really starting to hone in on your messaging for prospects and defining your niche or creating one with estate planning. Who do you serve? Asking yourself those questions and creating some messaging around that. This is where you really start to go wider with your messaging. Your website, your LinkedIn, FAQs on your website, wherever you're posting them. High authority directories like Wealth Tender, you're posting it there that you offer estate planning. And then you're going to start creating a niche specific prospect email campaign. There's a reason we keep coming back to email. Email is like the best and warmest channel to get anyone to do anything that you know. And that is just the way that it is. That's why I emailed some of you to come to this webinar today because you've come to past webinars. And that tells me that you're interested in some of the topics I talk about, right? Anyone that's in your current email list for prospects, that's where you want to target first, right? But we're going to go even wider than that. We're going to help you actually build onto that email list too. If you do not know what Wealth Tender is, I would say in a nutshell, Wealth Tender is the go-to financial advisor directory. We have the highest domain authority out of any directory out there that features advisors, which means the internet and search engines love us the most, surface us the most in their results when people are searching for financial advisors or financial advice. And the moment you get a profile on wealthtender.com, which is very low cost, then you automatically double, triple down on your digital presence and your digital footprint and the power of that footprint to start surfacing in these search engines, top of the page on Google, in AI search results. We're the most frequently cited find an advisor directory. We're also the first SEC compliant testimonial advisor platform, which means you can get your clients to leave you reviews if you're allowed to with your compliance. Most of you are at this point, and you can publish those reviews. And AI loves reviews. We also feature you in content that we write. We create articles for specific employers. We create articles based on your location. We also have an article based on estate planning. So I'm going to share my screen here and just show you how this works really quickly. But again, this is not just Wealth Tender, guys. This is your website. This is your LinkedIn. This is wherever your social media presence is, because you know that's where your clients hang out. That is where you're doing this. So let's see if I can share my entire screen. Can you all see this?
Yep.
Beautiful. So this is, I'm not on wealthtender.com homepage, but when I did go there, I just clicked find a pro, find a specialist advisor. But guys, most people aren't necessarily doing this. They're already doing it in AI, and we're populating there, or they searched for an article and they land on wealthtender.com. Then they're seeing these things. But I went and searched for advisors that specialize in estate planning. And what we do is we actually write an answer engine optimized article, which means the way it's written, what's front of the line, the behind the scenes here, everything is just engineered to show up in tools like ChatGPT or in Google. And we're basically saying, hey, here's all the advisors that specialize in estate planning, right? So there's so many different types of advisors here. By the way, this is also a really great way to just look at what your competitors are saying about themselves and what other advisors are saying about themselves, how they're positioning themselves, and how you might differentiate yourself from that. I pulled a few profiles up, for example. This is Jesse Carlucci. He's in Oklahoma City, and he focuses on investing, retirement, and estate planning. So he has that listed clearly, area of focus listed, estate planning. He goes into his process here, and you can book an intro call. So if you build a Wealth Tender profile, which actually we build it for you, like literally overnight, and then we send it to you for review, then this is what this will look like. The reason this is important beyond just having a website, guys, is because your website is not being surfaced in AI as much as Wealth Tender is. You are basically borrowing our answer engine and SEO power, and you should do that because you shouldn't just have a website. You should be listed on other people's websites. That's what tells ChatGPT you're credible. And literally overnight, like literally within 2 hours of having a profile, you'll start to surface more in answer engines. This is Jeff Schlotterbeck. I pulled his up because he's local for me. And because whenever I went to ask ChatGPT to find me an advisor that offers estate planning, he also came up in this list. And you'll see there's a lot of different profiles and websites listed, Planner Search, Wealth Tender. Like these are all the different directories, especially Wealth Tender, Fee Only Network. That is where these platforms are pulling from. They're also pulling from your website, which is why you still should update your website, but that's just super duper important. And then I pulled one more up, and this is Angel Escobedo. But on the bottom of Angel's profile, you see all his client reviews. Again, Wealth Tender built a whole process to make this compliant. But you can see like some of his reviews literally mention estate planning. So that's getting picked up. The crawlers on the internet are picking that up, and they're surfacing Angel's profile over other advisors simply because he offers estate planning. Because AI doesn't just love estate planning, it just loves comprehensive, holistic financial planning. In fact, and I didn't tell you here, but when I first asked this question on ChatGPT, it literally said, I'm going to find someone that offers holistic advice. I'm going to find someone with good credentials, street cred. Like it's looking for all of that. So I just wanted you to see this because I think it's super, super important. And that's what we would do for you. If you were on Wealth Tender, we'd build out your profile, you'd approve it, and then we'd start adding you to these different guides and directories that we have. Okay.
Yeah. So go. I know you're going to get back to the PowerPoint, but let me just say one thing about Wealth Tender. And I've gotten a chance to speak with CEO to CEO, right? Brian,
Yep.
your CEO. And I got to tell you, when we had our initial conversation and he was telling me all about it, and then I was like, oh, well, this must be really expensive. Whenever I saw the price point, I'm like, time out. Hold on. Wait a second. I could not get over the value. And I'm just like, I mean, what that would cost for an entire year for what you get back is such a no-brainer. It's not even funny. So check it out yourself. What is it, wealthtender.com or something like that, right?
Yeah, I'll drop a link in the chat right now in just a moment, and then we'll cover this last point, and then I do want to get to Q&A if any of you have questions. So I just dropped a link in the chat. That's the best place as an advisor to just go and create your own Wealth Tender profile or sign up in literally less than 2 minutes. We'll build it for you. We'll have it ready for you tomorrow to take a look at, and you can always update it later with the estate planning language once you get that in place. Okay. Days 46 through 60 might be my favorite part, because this is where we're really, really going to put the pedal to the metal. I think that's how that saying goes. But we're going to add the firepower, and we're going to actually get you out there in front of prospects, and you're going to talk about your process and why they should be working with you, because you can help them protect their wealth. This is my favorite part, because this is what I love, and I've seen advisors do this with so much success. So this is all about live, serve, and create advocates. So, and I'd also say what you're going to learn here, it complements what we just taught you in the last segment, and then they kind of just like become this beautiful rotation. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to test a live estate planning seminar to grow qualified prospects. You're going to build a simple follow-up path, seminar, discovery, next steps, transition plan. If you don't like getting in person, consider doing this on a webinar. If you need webinar tips, a lot of what you learn here will apply, or pull from my own playbook, right? Like I host webinars every single month. The third is move clients into your estate process, and then you have your provider there that's going to take care of the rest. What's going to happen after is you're going to have very happy clients, or people who immediately became clients because of this offer, who then go back and guess what? They write reviews about you that go on your wealth tender profile. And then that pushes more people to find you. And you're literally creating this engine of bringing in clients from different angles. Okay, this is also where Epic shines. So I'm going to be quiet here, and I would love for you guys to share through. And you just tell me when to. We've got like a couple of slides here on how you really do this, but you're the whole marketing engine around this. So would love to pass the baton to you guys to talk through.
Well, I just say, when we're thinking about 60 days and implementing this within 60 days, advisors here might go, whoa, that's really overwhelming. I mean, we broke it down, but still being able to accomplish that, especially on your own, can be too much. So Carter, we have these slides here really highlighting, Epic and how we are so intentional behind how we support advisors, right? We have education, we have the marketing kits to make sure that you have that authority marketing when you're ready to take this topic and get it out there to use and leverage for new prospects and existing clients, all the way to the estate planning solution. So we really do bring it all together under one roof. So starting here is the outsourced estate planning team, and this is Carter's brainchild. So I'll pass it over to you to take it away.
Yeah. So, again, this is really born from, my own personal experience and going out and surveying advisors on just asking them, this is almost 10 years now, what is your estate planning solution? What do you do? And time and time again, especially early on, before a system like ours, which has been out there well before any of the other providers, time and time again, it's like, oh, well, I have 3 attorneys that I refer people out to. Well, every advisor on this call today knows that is a one-way street. There is no reciprocation. If you're 10-to-1 ratio, at all, you're doing way above industry average. In most instances, you're not. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. There's a reason why it's a one-way street. As someone who established this myself from working with an estate planning attorney that we did business together. She was my dedicated attorney. We did business 50-50 split, insurance solutions that we would provide, risk and tax mitigation solutions. She told me, as an estate planning attorney, what they train attorneys to do is go out and create as many relationships with financial advisors as possible, because those advisors will send their clients to you. That's a one-way street. Not like it's something that it's nefarious. It's just that that's how they're trained to get their clients.
Yep.
So the outsourced estate planning team effectively becomes your in-house estate planning solution. And everybody on this team roster, as we call it, plays a role in the entire process, whether it be education, whether it be marketing, whether it be branding, whether it be the attorney, whether it be the onboarding specialist, whatever it is, everybody here on this roster plays an integral part in the beginning and throughout the entire process that a client experiences.
And it starts with the marketing, right? So whether that's a seminar or the landing page that you guys spin up, and if you have anything you want to share, please do. But let's talk there for a second, and then come back to the actual, like, okay, what happens after the handoff? What do you guys do? Like, if you're going to help somebody launch this offer, what are the biggest and most important marketing channels?
Yeah, I would say that the thing that I knew was missing and lacking, even from our own perspective, and I tasked my team, thank you, Rosalie, by the way, I tasked my team with going out and delivering something that we could train advisors at scale, right? Mm-hmm. So without me having to say it over and over and over again, right? When you do a webinar, it's like, hey, we turn it into evergreen. Well, we created Epic University. Okay. And we use that word university by design because it is not only necessary, it's also required training that every advisor goes through. And I tell every advisor, even if you only went through Epic University for your own clients that you're going to offer estate planning to utilize in our process, when you come out of it, you're arguably going to know more than most estate planning attorneys know because of the comprehensiveness that we take into consideration. I can't tell you how many times I've had Epic advisors go through Epic University. They were excited before they went in. When they come out on the other side, they're on fire. Because they're like, okay, wait a second. You really have thought of everything because it is around client acquisition, client retention, and generational control. That's what I developed Epic for in the first place. And every advisor on this call should love to hear those three things: client acquisition, client retention, generational control. So anyway, branded video content and digital presence, right? Done for you relationship management, email nurturing, re-engagement, engagement campaigns, these neuro-linguistic videos around concepts in the risk and tax mitigation categories. And then also every Epic advisor that's part of the premium client acquisition kit, not only does it include the cost of your very first event, it also includes literally everything that they're going to need to stay in front of their clients without them having to do any of the heavy lifting.
Okay, so you just said a really important word, their first event. What does that look like? What is it?
So, and again, we've been doing this for close to 10 years now. And I will tell you that we, through Epic University and one-on-one training, we teach you how to give a presentation. We brand and co-brand the presentation. We fill the room for you. And we average registrants, triple digits. Our last 10 workshops that we've done, and this tells you right now, maybe this has something to do with wealth tender, maybe this has to do with the fact that the great wealth transfer, everybody's asking about estate planning. Mm-hmm. We've averaged 170 registrations per campaign. This very first, the premium client acquisition kit includes the cost of your very first campaign. Now, a campaign could be 3 presentations. You could give a presentation on a Thursday night, a Saturday morning, and a Tuesday afternoon. Right? That would be 3 presentations. That's one campaign. Our last 10 advisors throughout the country have averaged 170 registrants. Statistically speaking, 42% show rate. The reason why our show rate is so high is because with intentionality, leveraging AI, leveraging SEO, leveraging marketing and branding, before you ever even step on stage, fully trained, ready to go, your prospects are conveyed and compelled to register because you look like an authority around the subject matter. Because every single advisor gets, again, what you showed earlier, the Epic team roster, where you're in the center and your team of specialists surround you. That was my brainchild years ago. And when advisors see that, if they just put their self in the shoes of a stranger, we're talking about stranger marketing here, right? Mm-hmm. People do not know you. Right? And it's a very competitive space out there. I think the number is 11,000 plus baby boomers a day retiring for like the next 12, 15 years a day. And every single one of those baby boomers that are retiring are Googling or ChatGPT or Clauding or whatever you want to call it, estate planning solution. Where do I go?
Yep.
You combine wealth tender with Epic Services Company and what we do on the front end. That is the reason why our registrations are through the roof around the subject matter.
Those numbers are very impressive. I used to help advisors with seminar marketing when I worked with the team at White Glove, and the estate planning topic, we had 3 topics that you could basically take and say, I'm going to host a seminar. We did all the marketing for you. Estate planning was always the best attended and the best converted, right? Because this is like everyone needs it, right? So you're casting that wide net. If anybody that works with you doesn't want to do an in-person seminar, could they do a webinar?
So part of our, so we've got a couple different packages that you can get. Okay. One of them, if they don't want to do a live webinar, right, our MVP package at a minimum, we actually create an on-demand educational webinar where literally all they do is read a script. They do the intro and the outro, and our estate planning team delivers the rest of the information. So we are very cognizant of the fear around unauthorized practice of law. We've addressed that. Right. Okay. An attorney reviews they meet with every single client. They also deliver the information. Your actual attorney law firm that we've partnered with will actually deliver the educational output so that all you have to do is literally, it's an on-demand, right, is record an intro and an outro, and we do the rest in the middle.
Love that. Oh, I feel like we could keep going deeper, but I know we're pretty much at time, and I do apologize, everyone. I didn't leave enough time. There was just too much exciting things to talk about here. But I think this does a really good job of touching on the fact that this is the offer, right? They build the marketing engine around it, and then they help you actually fill the room with people you've never met before, right? Top of funnel. And then you actually have the team that's going to help you once they convert, actually deliver on the offering, and you're going to have a lot of happy people. And I know there's a lot of raving advisors that rave about Epic, and you have some of them that are on the call today, and you've got plenty of case studies and testimonials. If you're on this webinar and you want to learn more about Epic, you can absolutely do that. We'll send you everything that you need. Or maybe you want to learn more about Wealth Tender. I think just to maybe cap a little bit of what we've talked about, you can literally start winning clients within the next 60 days and creating more pipeline than you've probably ever been used to. Build the foundation, define your niche within your niche, or build the niche around estate planning. Make your specialty easy to find. Make sure you put the language as many places as you can, definitely on Wealth Tender, and then turn visibility into actual conversations with all of the marketing that Epic's going to help you with. And when you convert people into clients, they have the entire team built around that to actually deliver on the estate plan. So just a really quick sneak peek of where we fit into the market. And just to help you understand this, Epic is going to be your estate planning partner that will help deliver a plan for your clients without the tech headache. There's not going to be any, they didn't finish or they never clicked the link. Like, this is attorney-led, team built around you. And then you have the seminar piece on top where you can literally just record a webinar, or you go give a seminar in person time and time again, where you get to fill the room and do it live. There's nothing that beats a live session, I'm not going to lie, but you could do the webinar as well. And then the Wealth Tender piece is where they can leave reviews for you after you've worked with them and they're very happy with what you've delivered for them and they become clients. And that's just going to keep helping fill that engine. You'll have people contacting you from your Wealth Tender page. You get trusted more by anybody who shows up to your seminar. They'll go Google your name after and say, who is this person? And boom, like, you have that domain authority thanks to Wealth Tender and your own website as well. So that is where we fit. And you're going to get the checklist that summarizes all of this and more. Like, we go a lot deeper in the checklist than what you even saw today. 2 quick things here for those of you still on the line. If you want to learn more about Epic, this is your chance to book a strategy call with the CEO. Which is not obviously always a thing that he advertises left and right because he's very busy. But he did open up some slots on his calendar. Thank you, Carter, for doing that. For our audience, it really means a lot to us. And you can simply scan this QR code right now. Maybe, Rosalie, you can pop it into the chat. I know you've popped a couple of other really helpful examples into the chat to validate a lot of what we were saying and help advisors see it in action. But this is where you can book that call with Carter. And then on the next slide, so go ahead and scan that QR code if you haven't already, because I'm going to change slides, is where you can go ahead and sign up for Wealth Tender in less than 2 minutes. Get featured on wealthtender.com. Again, we'll build your profile for you. And I'll send you that link one more time in the chat here. So if you're interested, and I know we're a little over time, but we still have a few of you with us. So thanks for sticking around. If you have questions, pop it into the chat now. I did get one question, actually 2. if Michael and Darrell are still here. The first is, what is the consumer cost of estate planning through Epic? For the sales agent, it's important to know the price point and its true value for their clients.
Yeah, well, I'll just throw out, and of course, you get scheduled on my calendar. It's important for you to understand that there's a purpose behind everything that we do. So it's a one-time with unlimited updates and changes for life for $2,700, but it includes so much more. Like, it is a very, very, and I would argue the most comprehensive estate plan in the industry today. I'll put anybody up against me on that, by the way. So there you go. That's the price point right there.
That is a great price point. That's what I was saying earlier, is it's balanced. Yes, you could probably, like on tech platforms, there's maybe less expensive options, but that the problem that a lot of people have reported is that nobody's actually taking action, and maybe they don't trust it as much because it's too techy, or maybe they're not even tech savvy enough to do that. They want more hand holding. Most people in this category of people that we've talked about today with this great wealth transfer, they're going to want a little bit more of the hand holding. That is the trade-off. And that is a fantastic price, Carter, because I've had countless advisors tell me, oh, I sent my client to an attorney and it was like $5,000, $10,000, $15,000
all the time.
Oh my goodness. And it's like painstaking. Like attorneys, okay, they're very smart, but they're not as like, I don't know, what's the word I want to use here? Like, advisors know how to talk to their clients. Right? You send your client to an attorney, they're going to have them fill out this huge thing. They're going to ask them all these boring questions. They're going to overwhelm them with legal jargon. You know better than that. And now you have an actual like partner to help you deliver on this. And it's like perfect middle ground that I think that is so needed in our space.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. If you're an insurance agent, especially, and 98% of the advisors we work with are insurance advisors as well as financial advisors. The average household, right, per estate plan, they make more than the $2,700 that the advisor actually sells the plan for in the first place.
Interesting. Okay.
So just FYI.
Yep. Thank you, Carter. More reason for you guys to book a call, because there's a lot more detail here than we're going to be able to cover. We're 6 minutes past the hour. I'm going to go ahead and say, this was a success. We're so grateful you all came and showed up for us today, learned alongside us. I think if there's any questions we didn't get to, I'm so sorry. Maybe there was just one more. Feel free to email us. We're going to send you a follow-up email now with the recording, the checklist, anything that you need to get this going in your practice. Hit reply. Ask us any question we couldn't cover today, anything that comes up as you review the materials. Carter, Rosalie, thank you so much for partnering up with us at Wealth Tender, for doing this webinar with us. It's been such a fun time. I'm actually sad now that this is ending.
Time flies when you're having fun, that's for sure.
We'll do more in the future. Any last parting words on your end, guys?
No, not at all. Thank you so much, Diana, for really hosting this thing with us. And the partnership with Wealth Tender is meaningful and impactful. And again, we wouldn't partner with something that doesn't help advisors grow their practice. And when you can grow your practice, what that really means is that you're helping more families.
That's the bottom line right there. Thank you, Carter. Thank you, Rosalie.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.